Okay.
Kev, you got a car today as you're looking off to the side as I surprise you with a quick recording because we don't have a lot of time today.
Yeah, I got what's a good car? What's a good car for me to lie and say I got?
You got a Toyota Supra. You got it in a manual, because you know how to drive stick, because it's a
That's
shit.
true. That's true about me.
Do you actually know how to
And
drive stick?
not
I know
only do
you're.
I know not only do I know how to drive stick, I can possibly understand the value of anybody else knowing how to if they're not a valet. No, I cannot drive stick.
Oh, stick's fun. I miss it. It is absolutely the one thing that I probably miss the most when I'm driving. Cool. You got a car today? You're a proud owner. We don't need to talk about what car you got. It's up to you if you want to disclose that. But that's awesome. Is this your
Well, I
first
could
car?
say there are less than 90,000 miles on it.
There we go. Is this your first car? Or...
It's the first one that's all mine.
Nice. Let's go. It's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm pulling stuff up on here, well, because that's why I'm being.
No worries. We can.
Well, I'm being uninteresting because that's my personality, but I'm being extra uninteresting because trying to pull up my normal crap, so I'm ready to talk about stuff on the podcast.
So,
Yes.
let's quickly jump into this because I know we don't have much time, and we have a lot we want to talk about. In fact, I think today is going to be a day, and I'm going to throw a little curveball, say this up front, where we do less preview and more review, because I think obviously talking about what's happened over last week and the past 2 weeks is more important. Let's quickly talk about the game, and then let's jump into what we want to do today. I want to start off with
lost 19-13.
Bears lost 19-13. The defense holding CJ Stroud and the Texans offense to 19. And what was it, 3 points in the second half?
Yeah, once again, whatever they couldn't figure out in the first half was completely solved in the second half. Besides how Tank Dell should have caught that long touchdown. But besides that, great.
We've gotten away with a couple potential explosives that didn't hit. Will Levis missed the one on Jalen Johnson. I think Tyreek Stevenson also got beat on one.
Explosives are very hard for everything to go correctly. So,
yes,
we're lucky, but also we'd be lucky if they had gotten it.
Very true.
That's why we can't get any explosives. They're hard.
Well, we'll get there. I know. We're itching to. I just want to quickly give the defense their flowers.
Even I'm not itching. I think we can now skip the offense part. It's hard. Offense is hard. That's why we're not doing good at it. Let's go on the defense. Defense is so good.
That's all of our analysis. I mean, honestly, across the league, probably true. What quarterbacks are averaging like 150 yards. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's low. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I think, is averaging, and granted, off an Achilles, not as mobile, 170 something. I bet his under prop for this week against Patriots because of that, because it's like at 215. In his last 2 games, he hasn't even passed like 185 or something like that. But on that note, let's back to the game. Defense, even in the first half, though, I do want to say this. They did adjust, but they were good all throughout. I mean, even the first half, I don't feel like the Texans were... never got the same feeling I got a little bit in the second quarter with the Titans, if that makes sense. They were put in a disadvantageous situation at certain times, especially with field position.
I think that's probably fair. Yeah, I don't know. It always felt like Stroud was like a looming, like a shark in the water who was about to pounce. I think there was a short yardage situation where the Texans chose to kick where they shouldn't have. They probably left some points on the board by their own doing. Also, I don't think I felt as bad about the defense in the first half of the first game as you did. But yeah, I think by and large, I'm with you on that.
Do we get to
and honestly, if we're going to say anything negative about the defense in the first half, everybody was playing good except Tyreek. Basically, just Tyreek was really struggling to cover anybody.
He did clamp down. On that note, too, Kyler Gordon had a good game. Throwing that out there, just based off of grades, based off of what I've heard.
Kyler just decides it's Kyler time sometimes, is what happens. Like, you might not notice him, and maybe that's for that, often with a coverage guy, that's a good thing. But then you he decides there's going to be like a few plays in a row that you're really going to goddamn notice him. He got a pressure right before the interception that I still say was. I still think that he did intercept that ball. I just don't think it should have been overturned on the field. I have yet to see anything that says to me that if Kyler thinks he intercepted that ball, that was not an interception. I think he did. I don't see the ball ever hitting the ground out of his control. But yeah, Kyler did great. And Jalen, my God, just don't go anywhere near him.
Jalen did get beat a little bit by Nico Collins a little. His last game wasn't.
It's okay to occasionally get beat, but like versus what you could possibly expect, he's doing exactly the best case scenario through 2 games that we possibly could have expected.
Yeah, not going to freak out at all. I think he only gave up about 40 yards. It was a little stretch, and then he figured it out. Tarek Stevenson definitely was.
I'm certainly not looking at some site that says how many yards a corner gave up because like they don't know.
They don't actually know. Let's be honest here. We could talk about. I'm not going to go into that rabbit hole, but we could talk about how hard it is to figure out coverage rules and who exactly is responsible for what as you're trying to hand things off.
I'd say we have.
We definitely have talked about it before. You can listen to. I don't know what episodes those are on. All that said, I don't know if he caught it. I kind of think that is going to be one of those things which whatever was called on the field is going to stand. I could see why you can't confirm it. It looks like he bobbles it a little bit as he pins it up against his head. Before that, on the bobble, it does hit the ground.
Absolutely do not think it should have been overturned. I also will say I think the juice was still
on the field.
I think the juice. Yeah, they absolutely should not have overturned the call on the field. I agree.
No, it wasn't an interception on the field. I thought we challenged it, didn't we?
I never said that it was. Oh. I said the call on the field. I agree. Should have stayed. I'm saying I think it was an interception.
That's fair. I don't know if we really want to touch anything else on the defense. I really want to get into the offense. I want to get into the struggles. I just want to. I
really want to. I just quickly want to say I think the juice was worth the squeeze to challenge that play. That's all I'm saying. I think a lot of people could rightfully disagree with me.
Yeah.
Like that was such a game-changing play. Kyler was confident he intercepted it, and again, I think he intercepted it. That I think it was worth it, even if there was, only a 10% chance of winning the challenge. I think the win expectancy added was up there. But yeah, that's all I got on the defense. They played great, and we'll get into a little more because we'll talk about the Colts a little bit.
Yeah, I want to quickly clarify my JJ comment. It was more so like I think it was like a couple slants. Yeah, that was it. In no way do I not think he had an elite performance. Going on to the offense.
Oh, well, you were, I think you were being a little jokey about the number of slants they were giving up, but that was fine. Like,
yeah,
they were choosing to give that up, and
yeah. On that note too, with that, we don't know if he's supposed to have inside help there, etc. And what exactly they were doing to maybe vacate that area. I wanted to talk a little bit about what DeMeco Ryans was doing, but we all know. I don't think I need to cover this. I have it in our outline. They were sending stunts. They were sending blitzes. There's a lot of 5-man pressures. A lot of stunts in which they were games that were attacking the inside rules to see if they would get that. It wasn't like an outside stunt. It was more so.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I think even the most casual fan knows exactly what DeMeco Ryans was doing. I think the only thing worth noting is that he did it a lot more than he typically does. Usually he's pretty content to hang back in 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
But he saw something and he took advantage. And then once it worked twice, he did it many more times.
Yes, it was absolutely exploitable. Something that I was having a conversation with somebody on Twitter. I was like, this is exploitable, whereas last year I don't think it was. And by that, what I mean is you could just spam it. Like we're talking 49ers when they can run outside zone over and over and over again against the Jets. They can just spam it and get whatever the hell they want. The Texans could literally just spam this and derail us. There was definitely an adjustment in the second half. This is definitely something that DeMeco Ryans is not known to attack like this as often. It was something they went for it. That's an issue.
So let's I know you made an outline, but I didn't read it. So let's we're gonna hit the points.
The one time I do it. I wanted to transition us over to.
Well, I think I think this is the natural segue into why was it so exploitable? Who's to blame? Let's talk about the offensive line and the men who may coach them.
You want to potentially talk about the entire offense one by one and maybe do what you had suggested, which another podcast had done?
Oh, yeah, okay. I suggested a concern meter going guy by guy, or in some cases unit by unit.
Just for anyone listening, he
And
was
you brought
so
it.
excited to make a joke about this to introduce it. This is why I have the outline.
Oh,
So we know
it's not really a joke. It's you then brought to my attention that Hogan Johns do the same thing, and
they did it on the last week's episode.
I'll say two things. There are only so many fucking ideas in this world. I'm gonna have the same idea as somebody else. I would never be caught dead listening to Hogan Johns. So I'm not complaining to you. I'm complaining to the world because this is the second time this has happened to me. It was my idea. I can't be held responsible if two other dumbasses have the idea. I would never in a million years listen to Hogan Johns. So if somebody somehow for some reason is listening to this, says, oh, they're stealing from Hogan Johns. No, we're not. Because the other reason that I would never steal from Hogan Johns, those guys are fucking stupid. I don't give a shit about Hogan Johns. They're stupid guys. We are smarter. We're about to do this much worse, but not due to a lack of intelligence like those guys.
They are not stupid.
They're not stupid.
Good at their jobs as beat reporters. They may not know ball as well, but they know ball as beat reporters would know ball.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They don't know ball. I don't
like
care about. I don't
they need
care.
to go off to other people about the cap. When you've got all the resources in the world to learn about it,
they need to go to other places. I don't care. I don't care what their level of concern is about anything because they don't know. They're just asking some other guy what his level of concern is, and then they're saying it on their podcast.
Their job, though, is so this is where I would defend the beat reporters. Their job is to report on what they're hearing, and it is a very time-intensive job. So for them to not take time out to say, be like what I did for a year and a half or 2 years, where I'm just reading literally anything and everything. I've got the time, but I'm not working. I'm literally just doing this shit. They are probably working because they're working weekends too. That
does not change the fact that they're putting out a podcast and telling us what their concern is about the Bears, and I do not trust them to tell me their concern about the Bears.
They're honest though. That's where I push back. I have listened to podcasts where people will just.
But I don't listen to the podcast. I occasionally see some of their tweets. I don't think they know very much about football. I think they know how to be beat reporters. Probably. I don't even know that, but probably they do. As I was saying, anyway, we are going to do a better job of it, or no, we're going to do a worse job of it, but not for the reasons that you would think. It's just because we're incoherent and rambly and ugly, but it's not because we're not smarter at football stuff than Hogan Johns.
That's why they're great at their job. They're very good at communicating, and they're very good at getting information across all the information that they know.
And handsome to boot. I have no idea what it looks like.
Oh, Hogan's a stud. Hogan's definitely good. If he was a quarterback, he would probably be on your top 5, your yearly list of top quarterbacks, ranking your quarterbacks and looks.
Right, now you've hit a nerve. I'm going to look up a picture of him, and I apologize to Adam Hogue. Yeah, no. Really a cool look about him. I'll give him that.
I think he's a good looking guy. Moving on, let's do the panic meter. So we'll start off with the offensive line.
Better looking at me. I'm not saying that, but
since we're talking about the pressure, since we're talking about the games that they're playing, let's talk about the offensive line. Let's talk about the panic meters. I want you to start. Give me where you're at from scale 1 to 10. How much are you panicking about this offensive line?
So the offensive line is. So I got to stick to my priors a little bit here, and this is where we differ a little bit because we don't have the same prior. I was already worried that this could be a Panther situation, and now for reasons we'll get into, it's an even better comparison. But yeah, the talent level, I never really trusted the true block or the true pass set disparity between their grades and their true pass grades. I do think that people have a point when they say that the fear of Fields running and the types of plays we would call because Fields was so limited made the offensive line look better. Do I think that we are going to consistently allow a free rusher straight up the middle all the time? No, I expect that to be pretty cleaned up by this week, honestly. But in general, I'm gonna say 7. I'll say 7 because I do think that most of those guys are talented. It wasn't that bad in week 1. Granted, it wasn't great. Um, I guess let's split it.
Let's
It's like a 4 for the tackles, and it's like an 8 inside.
That's fair, and I appreciate you bringing up the tackles because my pushback with you is typically I think Braxton Jones is significantly better than I think most Bears Twitter does. Mostly because I also saw a lot of progression, and to be fair to him, his TPS last year wasn't great, but his TPS this year, 70.1. In the last matchup, TPS grade doesn't say for some reason. I'll figure that out later. I'll come back to you with it later, but he is at a 70.1 TPS right now. Darnell Wright, not so much, but he also was probably getting tanked off that last game. That was a pretty terrible outing.
Yeah.
Maybe not because of him, though, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I think there were a couple reps that people are. We'll get to that.
I trust the talent of no less than 3 guys, and well, at least 2 guys, and then I also I'm there. I'm certainly there enough on Braxton. It's really 2 guys, and also Tevin has got to get us out of his ass. But
Now,
I'm not worried about those guys because I trust their talent to the extent that I care. The holdout.
So I've been fermenting on the offensive line for a few days. It's mostly because I was higher on them than most people. Seeing that definitely gets me to panic a little bit. I need to sit back, get myself to calm down, think about it. I also saw a lot of people going after Chris Morgan, somebody who I have given a little bit of praise on Twitter, not too much, talking about how he's developed Brax, how he has developed Tev inside, right? Looks like he was getting better, etc. And then I know, so let's talk about it a little bit. The first thing I was trying to think about was, is this Chris Morgan, or hey, this reminds me of something. We kept one coach. People kept saying we kept the offensive line coach. It's got to be him who's been bad over the past few years. My pushback is always, we weren't that bad last year. Just to give people an understanding of how much worse we are this year than we were last year. ESPN's pass block win rate, a stat that I typically throw out because when you're at the high end of it, it doesn't mean anything. But when you're at the low end of it, it does mean a lot. The way that ESPN's pass block win rate works is they stop counting pressures after 2.5 seconds, which in my opinion is a little too quick. However, when you're on the low end of pass block win rate, that means you're giving up quick pressures quite often. So when you go from 5th in pass block win rate to 30th, when you go from 68%, I have it. I should have this up front in my face, but of course I don't. Because
we can't. We don't have time. We go from 5th to 30th.
We go from 64% pass block win rate, which is 5th, to a 43%. Basically, 57% of the time we're giving up a pressure in 2.5 seconds, right? When you're doing that, that is a problem. Now everyone gives up pressures. That's 64% was 5th last year. That's not exactly the highest thing in the world, right? You would think it'd be like 75 or something like that. Everyone gives up pressures, but when you give up pressures at that rate, it's concerning. So we've regressed quite a bit. Now, that does tell me though, we were fine last year. What the hell happened? I was thinking about something. As you know, I listen to a lot more football podcasts as you. This is why I listen to Hogan Johns, listen to Tass, everything like that. I remembered something about how there was another team that brought in an OC and did not change their OL coach, and because of that, you have scheme conflict. Right?
Let's save the reveal really quick and get to the answer from the well-known guy first, because I think both answers are important to note here.
So, just to give everyone an understanding why that matters, you have rules that the OC wants to run, and you have the OL coach who needs to coach those up. If they're not in sync schematically, if they're not in sync about how the rules should be played, they're not in sync with the other position groups, there are going to be issues, right? And I can't tell you when we get into this, there are going to be times where I'm going to be blaming the running backs on some of these rules as well. So it seems like there might be more than just this, but you need typically when you see this, and we've got a few examples, right? As you're alluding to, there's two. I had realized that I heard about this on TAFs. So I tweet at Robert Mays. I ask him, like, hey, do you know who I'm thinking of in this tweet? Like, can you just, like, by chance remember? Because I know this is a really off thing and it's probably not making a lot of sense. And he points out that they did this last year with the Panthers. Everybody remembers last year, the Carolina Panthers came into the season with an offensive line that people had the Panthers as was it last year or 2 years ago?
Going into last year, people did not have any reason to think the Panthers were going to be a disaster. They thought they were a mid-tier offensive line with some upside because of Ike Ekwonu was still developing. Yeah, nobody thought they were awful.
Yep, and they went from I'm pretty sure they were pretty damn good the year before to one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Just objectively bad. That was a situation similar to this where you bring in an OC or you bring in a head coach, really, and you don't allow them to bring in their own OL coach to coach it up. Now, I did sit back and I was like, I don't think that's the one that I was thinking of. I'm pretty sure this was I've been listening to tests for years now.
I just wanted you to bring that. I wanted you to bring that up for two reasons. A, Robert Mays responded to you. Good. We like Robert Mays. And two, it really does magnify in my mind that I said, well, if there's a Panthers, I think it might be the Bears. I wasn't even thinking of that. Now I'm like, shit, it really could be the Bears.
And I also, on that note, thank you for bringing that up. Robert Mays, thank you for the response. And also,
and thank you for listening.
Being awesome.
Thanks for listening. You got so much better stuff to do, but I appreciate you being a loyal listener.
If only. He would absolutely hate the way. Just kidding. No, he knows. He always talks about he's actually the one person that talks about the struggles trying to podcast early on and how much better he's gotten over time. So
on the rare occasion we had a good rapport. I think we can be a little Maysian. That's a genuine compliment I want to give us.
If only.
I'm not kidding.
I'd love to get there. He is
not smart wise, pitter patter wise.
Oh yeah. He knows ball better than I think I could get it down, and I try my damnedest.
Anyway, second example that I believe I found with the help of my friend ChatGPT.
So I was sitting back and I'm like, no, I don't think that's the example because the OC that got brought in stayed and then switched their OL coach, right? Oh, and I was sitting back, I'm like, no, that's not right. But thank you. That's a great example that proves the point that I was getting at. Trying to think this through, though. Do you have any idea? He hadn't responded yet, and you went to ChatGPT for me, ChatGPT.
My friend, ChatGPT.
Asked it. What was the prompt you gave it? Just gotta ask.
I gave it the original prompt was I asked, can you give me examples of offensive coordinators who I'm not going to be able to get it exactly right, and it's not super interesting, but it was at first, give me this exact thing that offensive coordinator who stayed on, but fired the offensive line coach, and the offensive coordinator stayed. Then I asked just for give me a list of new offensive coordinators that were hired by head coaches in like a last ditch effort to keep their job. ChatGPT also didn't answer that one, but then I thought of one that I said, hey, what happened with this guy here? And then they said, this happened. I said, is that not exactly what I asked for in the first place? And it said, oh yeah, that is exactly what you asked for in the first place. Who's the guy?
Dane Waldron, first year at Seattle.
The 2021 Seattle Seahawks kept on some guy, Frank something, and offensive line really sucked, but they hired Shane Waldron from the Rams. Offensive line was really bad in 2021. No thanks to Russell Wilson, by the way. But in year 2, he's fired a guy named Alex Dickerson, something like that. He becomes the offensive line coach in 2022. He had been the running game coordinator for the Seahawks, and he had followed Waldron from the Rams. I don't know what he did with the Rams, but he was promoted to the offensive line coach. And in 2022, the Seahawks offensive line was greatly improved. Now, it regressed hardcore in 2023, but in 2022, all anybody could talk about with the Seahawks was, wow, the offensive line's finally good.
The interior wasn't as good, I don't think, in 2022 as the tackles were.
No, but the point is,
yeah, we
things started
saw
working.
we did see improvement. Now that's at 2023. There's a massive regression, I think, across the board with their offensive line. The reason I want to bring that up is because Robert Mays also brought up a point in his recent episode about how Shane Waldron seems to have an issue when it comes to offensive line. Don't know. This is where I'm going to get into all of the confluence, like the compacting factors here. The confluence of there's a ton of variables. It could be a confluence of issues. That's what I'm trying to get to, that phrase, as I keep trying to say confluence. There's a confluence of issues, potentially. There's so many changing variables, it's hard to tell. Now, this could be a bad OL offensive coordinator pairing. This could literally be just a Shane Waldron issue. This could be the offensive line not having any chemistry yet. Nate Davis was out almost all of training camp. When the hell was he able to get reps?
It could, even though I think we're both pushing back against this a little bit. Chris Morgan could just be complete dog shit on his own. It could be that. I think we have better theories, though.
It could, and it very well might be. And then, I'll eat crow if we ever find out which one it is. But it's early in the season. It's a brand new offense. You got an interior offensive line that hasn't taken a lot of snaps together. You've got an offensive line coach that wasn't the offensive line coach that's worked within Shane Waldron's scheme before. There are so many different reasons why this could be an issue. This is all for me to come back and say, what is my panic meter? My short-term panic meter is incredibly high for the interior offensive line. Within the next 3 games, I would be worried that we could do some kind of damage to Caleb's something that is going to cause bad habits, maybe if he gets pummeled within the next few games. I do think this will solve itself in time. I also am kind of optimistic that Ryan Bates was significantly better than Nate Davis when he showed on some reps. So if he can get off IR, please, and give me something to be hopeful about. Potentially also, I think he could play on the other side of the line, and I think Tev might be better as I don't want them to switch right now, but
I think Tev showed enough at left guard last season that I don't really need him to. I don't need to be moving that much. Tev was fine last year. I don't need him going anywhere else.
I'll say this. I do think there might be something there with the offensive line and OC pairing, and if that's the case, I'm worried because I don't know how you fix that within the season, and that would be a wasted season. I am really hopeful, though, that the actual issue is just chemistry and them needing to figure out some kinks. And again, it goes back to wasn't Coleman Shelton also injured for a good portion of, or am I thinking of Bates here? Bates was injured towards the end of camp.
I don't recall Shelton. Bates was injured all the time,
Yeah. Tev was injured early in camp, and then Davis was just out until late. I do think that there's just some rep issues. I think there's I don't know how you can't see that, man. Let's talk about these stunts a little bit here. So it seems like one of the bigger issues is they're not playing level with each other, right? They're chasing blocks at times too. If you watch the film, you'll see Coleman Shelton literally chase his guy around. It's like, dude, pass that off. You got another guy coming, right?
Right.
It just feels like they don't know what their rules are. That's a coaching problem. I don't think that's a personnel problem, unless they're just dumb as shit.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I want to get to.
I would tend to agree. I would say maybe it's a blessing to some extent that this happened so visually that, like, again, people that don't even know what stunts are like now being like, God, this offensive line has to figure out their stunts. It happened so visually on a big stage that the offensive line, Morgan and Waldron and all of them, have no choice but to drill this down hardcore for a week, and possibly at the expense of something else, be like, whatever we do, we're not going to allow free rushes on stunts. We are not going to double anybody, for example, could be like the overfix. We're not doubling. we are staying there and we're blocking the guy in front of us. And if a guy shows up in front of you, you get to him. Oversimplifying, you kind of have to double and pass things off. But like I'm saying, at the expense of other aspects of pass blocking, we are going to pick up stunts. So I think it's a blessing in disguise, possibly, that like this issue reared its head so uglily that is there an adverb version of ugly? Ugly? Uglily?
Hideous.
Sure. So
No.
hideous. Well, I'm
It's the
asking
same thing as
specifically with the
ugly.
word ugly,
Yeah.
but I already answered on why. Anyway, so hideously that like they have to fix it, and I it gives me just a smidgen of confidence that it just that is not going to happen again.
So let's talk a little bit about last year when this happened. Do you remember week 3 against the Kansas City Chiefs? It's actually probably one of Justin Fields' best games. He was
I wasn't really paying attention.
He was under
Fucking nuts.
duress throughout the entire game. It was awful. I think a lot of people watching that game were freaking out about the offensive line because of how often he was being harassed. Now, this is Spags, right? There's D'Amico Ryans in this matchup. You also have Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, which, granted, it was interior pressure, but we saw Danielle Hunter win quite a bit. Pretty sure Will Anderson might have. It's not like we were playing against scrubs. Also, Aziz Al-Shaair absolutely wrecked us on the blitz.
Yeah.
So
it's like it's impossible kind of sort out who was winning without going back through it, and I don't plan to. But like, I mean, Mario Edwards was absolutely terrorizing us as just kind of a jag IDL. But that could be because they didn't know how to block him. Like, I don't.
It also could be because of the presence of the others and what they were doing.
All that said, that is what it was.
Yeah. All that said, what I'm trying to get to here is week 3 last year, I think our offensive line was at a point. We were at a similar point in week 3 last year as we are now. So maybe, just possibly, just bear with me here, it'll settle itself down. My panic meter when it comes to the offensive line is at a 6.5. If I had to split it, I would definitely give Iowa a 7, strictly because I know there's a chance I'm wrong. And if there is, I'm freaking out about what that means, right? So even if I feel like it's a smaller chance than most, the repercussions of if I'm wrong, if this is such an issue, are so bad, in my opinion, that I have to put it at least at a 7 for the interior. Tackles, because Darnell Wright did get his ass whooped, but I'm trying to figure out if that was him or not on some of those, and I want to go back and watch it because I know one rep that I want to bring up when we get to running backs. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as worried about the tackles, but I'm still going to put it there just because if the Iowa is bad, the whole offensive line is bad. And people already know that how I feel about our tackles, so I don't think they don't need me to reassure them.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, my panic meter, I guess, was a little higher, and it is the implication of what it could do. Like, I wouldn't care if I didn't occasionally see Caleb. You know, he's pretty cool. I mean, compared to Justin, but you know, you occasionally see a bad habit happen in real time. It's like, I hope this is just happening on this rep.
Yeah, there were a couple times where he didn't feel the pressure at all, which he's a rookie, so I'm not going to freak out.
I mean, the one where Will Anderson just demolished him from behind. I don't put blame on him for that. That was a clean win in under 2 seconds. He had and also the concept was just a quick screen to the outside, and then a slant. By the time he knows that slant's closed, he's already dead, and he never saw it coming. And also Komet whiffed on whatever it's called, like I don't know what it's called. It's a pass block, like a trap block.
I believe Komet thought that was a run play. That's why he was run blocking.
Oh, it was an
in that game.
RPO. That's the
Yep.
issue. But also
Yep.
touch him.
The issue there though is you
know
gotta
that
rip it. You gotta rip it though if it's an RPO.
Sure.
If so. I think there was just a little bit of confusion. Not a big deal. Again, he's a rookie. That I'm not going to give Caleb a lot of crap on this podcast. Let's talk a little bit more about Waldron though. I want to move past the offensive line. Play sequencing is pissing me off. It's weird because I thought he was running the ball a little too much on early downs because it feels like it's killing drives with how bad we are in the run game. But he's actually at a 55% pass rate on non-passing downs, like non-obvious pass situations.
Yeah, but that's the
Shocked me.
sequencing. That's the sequencing aspect. It's not the when do you. It's not. It's knowing when not to run. It's he runs. He runs when I know to pass, basically, and he passes when it might be okay to run. Actually, don't ever run, but not with these assholes. But like, great example from week one. The first time that sequencing reared its ugly head is Caleb started getting into a rare groove in that game, and then he runs. The first drive, a beautiful drive. We've approached the red zone, and he runs, I think, on first and second down before Caleb eventually takes a third down sack. What are you doing? We're passing. We're going. We're passing. Why ruin this with a run right now? It's more of that type of thing. So yeah, and that's why on paper. So Seahawks fans and the like, and some people like tried to warn us about Waldron, and I'm not out on Waldron, but we look at the numbers, the one that you just cited, and it's like, well, this looks good, but it's the timing of it is so off, and it to immediately recognize it in the first game and have it confirmed in the second game is like, okay, yeah, these guys were right. Like he has like there's a feel for the game thing that's missing from him. It seems like, and well, let's stick on sequencing if we want. There's other ants.
I want to throw in there really quickly the one thing that I was hopeful for though was that early passing rate led to explosives with Seattle. Now I do think that there have been opportunities for explosives that we've barely missed. Again, Caleb was off on a couple deep balls week one.
Mm-hmm.
Happy feet. He definitely seemed to be settled down this week. They'll be there. I have a feeling they will be there, but we haven't seen it, and I think that's what's really making this feel a lot worse. I feel like if we had these explosive plays that I was like watching the Seattle Seahawks offense last year was fun, man. If we had those explosive plays, this play sequencing, killing drives when they shouldn't kill drives wouldn't be as big of a deal.
Yeah, it doesn't seem, at least from the broadcast view, even on what I think we agree was an objectively very good drive out of Caleb, the one where he went 5 for 5, 6 for 6, whatever it was, for 50 or
A touchdown drive.
I don't know, a lot of yards. Um, it it didn't seem like on first or second down he was really even given the option to push it downfield. Everything was pretty short, and Caleb executed it great. At a certain point during the game, I said, "Yeah, awesome, Caleb. I get it. You can run quick game. People didn't think you run quick game. You got it. You can play in structure. Got it." But like, it didn't seem like there was even an attempt to run something deep. Like, man, first down is exactly when the defense is least likely to expect you to double post their ass or whatever it is. I'd love to see that.
I do think we need to prove that we can run the ball a little bit before we can even try to get a real play. Now, in the beginning of the season, I think we could have absolutely done it. Now, at this point, I don't think any defense is looking at our run game and saying, "Oh yeah, I'm scared of that." They're going to be playing the pass first.
But I'm not saying play action, man. Like we have a quarterback who could rip it. He's not necessarily showing it consistently, but like just run a route concept from shotgun.
Need to protect for it. That's the other thing that I think that's part of the reason why we're not seeing those explosives is because you need to protect more than 2.5 seconds.
See, now this is the Getsy argument and the Fields argument that coexisted together of the play calling couldn't be this because we didn't know we could protect. And that's valid. I don't know that, especially during especially at the time before, especially on that drive in particular, let's say, I don't think anybody knew the offensive line was going to be that bad. I think I think going into that game, they probably thought, yeah, the offensive line can protect.
Potentially, and that's a fair point. I do want to say though that I would prefer the quick game over the run game right now. If we can, I'm all in for being
Absolutely.
West Coast. I am all in for being a West Coast offense that says, and not the Shanny West Coast setup, right? Very different with the outside zone. Traditional West Coast, we're replacing the run with the quick game. That is what
Yeah,
it is.
we can come back to Waldron in the flow of this, but we might as well hit really quick on the run game because I don't think there's much to say because we said it last week. The offensive line has issues for sure. And pass blocking is a greater concern, but they're not perfect in the run game. Plays absolutely get blown up in the backfield due to quick losses by the offensive line and or whatever other blocker, and there's no other explanation for it. It is on the offensive line. There are often gains to be had, and this guy is not capable of getting them. He is not.
Right.
He cannot get any more than what is blocked, and usually gets less than what is blocked.
Small sample size data, real quick, because it's insanely bad. I looked on NFL Pro to look at some advanced stats on DeAndre Swift. What do you think a good rush yards over expected? So rush yards over expected, for people that don't understand this, is it's a metric that is based off of the space around the running back at the time, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And how many
Take
yards
take a
the
snapshot. How
blocking.
many yards does the typical running back get here?
Yes.
And how many more
basically,
yards does this running back get?
looking at the blockers, looking at their leverage, looking at where the running back's at, how many yards you're expecting them to get through the play, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to guess? I mean, you already know. For the
What,
audience,
what
real
do
quick.
I what do
Guess
what do I
you
think is
is per attempt.
I don't know. I forget how bad it could possibly get, but I'm gonna say like -3.
Negative 2.4,
Okay.
which is insanely bad.
Yeah, it
You're
means again, on average, every time he runs, he gets 2.4 less than what a typical running
what's
back would get.
on that block with how the thing is blocked up. This
Yeah,
is a
and
stat
again,
that takes
a
the
way
blocking
to
into
do this.
consideration.
A way to do this. Pause your TV when DeAndre Swift has the ball. Ask yourself, how many yards would uh,
Tony Pollard get
Tony Pollard? Man, he's a little too
a
good,
little more
but sure,
explosive.
a guy, just a guy.
Jerome
How
Ford.
many yards? How many yards would Jerome Ford get on this play?
Can't think of
Then
mid running
see,
backs.
you could answer the question, and then usually the answer is 2.4 less when DeAndre Swift is the one with the ball. Like that's the way to think about it. It's 2.4 yards is a lot of yards, especially on first down. It's 2nd and 9 versus 2nd and 6. That is kind of huge.
So the expected yards per carry for him is 4.3. Rounding errors here. That's why it's not 2.4 exactly, but his yards per carry are 2, right? So
Yeah. Oh, I would have guessed 2 on the dot.
yep,
Oh, I guess
2 yards per handoff.
-2.4 kind of plays into that. Yeah.
I was raised with the idea that a starting running back, if they don't get 4 yards per carry, is not a starting running back. You should be able to get to 4, 3.5 at least 4. When you're blocking for 4.3, right? The expectation is you got 4.3 just from your blockers.
Yeah.
And you can't get me 3. You can't
Yeah.
even get me 3. That's awful.
I will say I should point out because I've said it in the past. I don't trust rushing yards over expected. I certainly don't trust it as a predictive stat, and I'm not like all the way there as a descriptive stat. But when it's -2.4, that's like it means something.
Yeah.
It might actually be the highest of highs might not be that great. The guy might be a little less than rushing yard over expected, that type of thing. But like when it's that low, it means he sucks. Just point blank, period. He sucks.
That's it. And when I saw that, I was just like, all right, cool. Minus 0.46 EPA per attempt. We're losing half a point every time he runs the damn ball.
Yeah.
That's
now.
So, I mean, we were right.
I don't think we need to harp on it. I don't think we did a great job last week. I think we were rushed. I think we were both very sleepy. But I think we absolutely nailed that. If this becomes a game where we have to run a lot, it didn't really turn out that way. But if it becomes one, Swift is because of Swift, we're going to lose. Basically, it didn't turn out that way. But basically, the thesis was Swift sucks. Give it to somebody else. There was a guy who scored a touchdown on Sunday. Name's Khalil Herbert. He's always at the freaking top of rushing yards over expected. And you can see it. You can see him wiggle away from stuff. You can see his vision. Why are we messing with Swift so much? You know what Swift can do? There was a little swing pass where the receivers immediately blocked, and he caught it with one hand because for some reason he really likes catching the ball with one hand, and he gained some. I mean, he didn't gain more than the expected yardage, but he's fast, so he got outside, and there was just room to run straight. That's what he can do. Stop doing anything else.
He's good in space, but you're not. You need vision. You need contact balance. You need the ability to get skinny. You
got to earn the right to get to space.
Yes, exactly. So on a swing route, you might get
the Eagles got him to space all the time last year because the holes were massive, and he just ran straight. He's got to do a little more work to get to space. Khalil Herbert does the work to get to space, and he's not as good in it as DeAndre Swift, but at least he gets to the space.
And for anybody who's gonna, Khalil Herbert's only got it, like the handoffs I've seen were terrible. He's got like 2 handoffs.
Yeah,
and one of them was a touchdown.
And you know, to some extent, I'll trust the coaching staff that like maybe Khalil's not as good again as the rushing yards over expected say. Like, I'm open to the idea that this, I believe, 4th year back, who's never really gained full favor from a coaching staff, is not as great as we think he is. I'm totally open to that idea, but I know for sure that he's better than DeAndre Swift. Like, also, that differentiation in stats does not lie.
Give it to Velus then, or give it to Roshan. Like, I don't.
Unironically,
will get you 2 or 3 yards.
Unironically, last week I said to you, "Where's Velus?"
I don't want him catching the ball. I don't. Punts, kicks, catches, no. Run, sure, handoff.
He handled it 3 times in the first game, and all 3 times I would say those plays were successful. If I have to choose, I'm still probably going DeAndre Swift only because I know what.
I don't want him starting.
No. I'm saying if I have to choose who's getting the ball in a given play, I'm still maybe going DeAndre Swift just because I know what kind of like absolute, insane, series of events can lead to the other team somehow getting 12 points on the same play when Velus touches it. That was a joke, and I think it deserved a little bit more. How could the other team get 12 points on the same play, Adam? Whatever, you're not paying attention.
I'm not paying attention. I'm trying to pull up a stat. Sorry.
He's a huge disaster, but like he did run 3 good plays in the first game. Then we didn't give it to him. We gave Swift 14 carries for 18 yards. So I don't know, man. Yeah, give it to Velus. Yeah. Give it to somebody else. But ideally, do give it to Herbert. That's too much time on running backs. He sucked.
Yeah. I quickly want to go into 2 plays that bothered me because they're being used to dunk on Darnell Wright and they're being used to dunk on Tev and Nate, but I think these are both on Swift. So Nate Davis and Tevin Jenkins, right now on Twitter, there's a video of them completely not doing anything in space. They have outside leverage on these, basically 2 backers, right? And it looks like they're just standing there. They don't care to block. JTO, giving him full credit here. When I was watching the breakdown, I only got through the first half. I should watch the second half. I just wasn't ready to deal with it. JTO is like, this looks like an outside stretch, not outside zone stretch, right?
Yeah.
Why is he cutting it inside? He was looking at the leverage most like the wide receivers had as well, etc. It looks like stretch,
right?
And he cuts inside. So yeah, when your cards both have outside leverage,
if you can cut inside on outside stretch if what you're reading is correct. You can, but he shouldn't have.
No. There's a reason why they had outside. Both of them had outside leverage on both of those guys. They were stacked up perfectly. If he takes that off the tight end's ass, he's probably God. But he takes it inside instead, makes them both look terrible because they're set up for him to go out, right?
Right. Now there's a clip of those 2 not blocking anyone. And it's like, well, Nate Davis, he doesn't even care. He's not blocking anyone. Well, he doesn't know who the fuck to block because he's trying to block this guy, and now the run's coming this way.
He's got perfect leverage for the guy to come outside, trying to get the Swift outside. Well, now all of a sudden you go inside. I can't get to his other shoulder. What the hell? On top of that, there's a clip of Darnell Wright who completely whiffs on a block. Caleb gets sacked on it. It looks very obvious that Darnell Wright's working to help inside while trying to get the edge to go upfield and out. And typically when you do that, what you're expecting is your running back to then wash them up the pocket, right? So if I'm an edge and I can't get a good bend around and I'm being forced to come upfield, as a running back, you don't really have much to do on a block there. You don't actually have to engage and like get blown over. You are just taking
Just
their
be a
momentum with
guy
them.
in the way.
You're taking their momentum with them. It's an easy block. He doesn't even look outside and then goes off for his route. I can't tell if that's a protection rule that Darnell Wright didn't know or if Swift was just way off. But in my opinion, especially considering all the stunts we were seeing, I'm sure he needed to help on the inside and was being asked to do that. And we're keeping the running backs in because one of the suggestions that I think we need to do, and I'll get into, is we need the running backs to stay back and handle those stunts. Just not stunts, even just any interior pressure. You need support, but you don't want it on a tight end chip. You want it at the running back level. I can't trust DeAndre Swift to do that if I have obvious footage of him just bailing out of the pocket, not even looking outside, and not seeing the guy as he blows up Caleb.
And that is part of why we've seen, I think, collectively more Travis Homer than we saw all of last year, which, you know what, if he's the best pass blocker, fine. Like, he could be on the field. But, yeah, that's another thing. Swift, at no point has anybody ever thought that Swift could block. Again, he just thought he doesn't have anything in the pass game either. That's the thing.
I don't agree with people when they say Herbert's a terrible pass blocker. He's okay. He's better than this. Anyway, too much time on the running backs, but those two plays, I'm willing.
Like I said, I'm willing to default a little bit to the coaching staff, especially if multiple coaching staffs have said like, this guy's not that good at it. But like, I don't think the coaching staff even thinks Swift is a good pass blocker. I think they just enjoy his presence on the field, and I don't. And I'm right, and they're wrong. So
I think they paid $8 million to a running back, and they have to use him. And I hate that. I hate that signing so damn much. Yeah, I think that's good on that. Let's go back to Waldron and our panic meter. We don't need a panic meter for Swift. We don't need one for the running backs. We want other ones to actually get playtime. Waldron panic, where are you at? Considering everything we've talked about, including personnel usage, Swift being out there as much as he is.
As much as he is.
Gerald Everett getting. Sorry.
Yeah, Komet barely playing. Gerald Everett playing.
He played more this week. Gerald Everett being a focal point. What the hell are we doing running a screen to him? Why are we using
Why would you ever run a screen to any tight end ever, honestly, unless they're Brock Bowers or Sam Laporta?
So I think with the sequencing and the personnel usage, those are the two things that are going to say my panic meter with Waldron's at like a 7. And it's higher, especially because there's a clip of him shaking, trying to call plays. And also, can we get the play calls in time so that Caleb has time to set up for shit?
That clip does not affect my panic meter. He might have been cold. I don't think he was scared. But it's not Houston,
a good look. In September, he was sweating.
I don't think he was scared, though.
I don't actually take that, but considering the fact that we're taking forever, like we're going down, we're almost delaying a game. We delayed it. There was a delay of game coming off.
So that's what I wanted. That was an and that I wanted to get to, but we were in the flow of something else. I'm gonna say fucking a lot. This is a NC-17 episode because I'm mad at some of these things.
Georgia's out the door.
Get the fucking play in, dude. Get the fucking play in. Caleb's waiting for it.
Legitimately, Caleb's doing such a great job pre-snap, doing his adjustments. He has no time to.
He has like 8 seconds to do it.
Yes. And then by the time he gets it out in like 4 or 5 seconds, and he's got 3 seconds stamped. And every single time I'm sitting there like, get the damn play off. Holy shit, we're about to get a delay of a game. It's not his fault though.
Yeah. And
why is it taking so long?
You say he's doing a great job of doing it. And I want to say, I guess we can't know that for sure. We do see there are some specific clips out there where we do know for sure that he's done a good job. But, another possibility is that Caleb is not recognizing some of the stuff and he's calling some incorrect things out. We should allow for that possibility. Makes sense. He's a rookie quarterback in his second game.
Exactly. But, that's for a rookie, though. I think he's doing a great job. It could also be a reason why the protections could be breaking down. We don't know.
Sure. But certainly I'd like him to have the chance to do it. I think it's cool that he seems to want to do it, seems to have the capability of doing it. Even if there's some things he's not seeing, someday he'll probably be really good at it if he's already doing it right now. Give him a chance to do it by getting the fucking play in. So
let him get into rhythm by getting the play in and not making him sit there for 40 seconds after every damn play to get a snap off.
All that said, the only reason my panic meter is not going to be quite as high as you is it's only been 2 games. And things might solve themselves. So it's going to be one step lower at 6, but I got a lot of problems with him.
That's the issue. I have too many problems.
I think it's easier for an offensive coordinator, especially one who has experienced success as a coordinator, unlike Getsy. Like the reason you said to me, is it possible Getsy's better than Waldron? And I don't know if you think that's a discussion, but even if it is, at least Waldron has had success as a play caller before. So I'm giving it a 6. It could jump. It's going to jump up after this week if things don't look better. It'll jump past where yours is. If yours is a 10, mine will be an 11 if things are not significantly better this week. But I'm staying at a 6 with this because I think there's still some good stuff about him. Honestly, I think the play designs are better and more creative than anything Getsy ever did when he runs them at the correct time.
Here's the thing, and let me just to qualify my answer. It's the issue. The reason why I'm so high is there's so many problems. I think I'm pretty optimistic he can fix them. But man, it's a lot. It's a lot to see early on. For somebody who's experienced, I feel like we shouldn't be seeing this. A lot of the things that we were being sold on with him and the things that they were looking for was an offensive coordinator that knew how to coach towards their personnel. And we're seeing the opposite, I feel like, with the personnel usage.
I don't know. Maybe I wasn't there for that particular sales pitch. I'm not shocked that he's doing what every coach does and going to his guys. Like Homer and Everett are playing more because those are his guys. He knows those guys. In hindsight, I should have seen that coming. Swift is not one of his guys, so get him the hell off the field. I at least trust that to happen if Swift continues to be this much of a disaster, which he probably will be.
Now, it can resolve itself in a couple weeks. I worry there are too many issues, and it's going to take a bit. And there's a possibility that this is where I come back to the panic. Is it going to be a one and done because of how bad it gets? That's what I don't want. That's what I really don't want. The implications of if he can't fix all these issues are why it's higher. Yeah. That said, I'm with you. It could be fixed in time.
Well, if Waldron goes, Flus is gone. And honestly, to speak really quickly on that, I don't want Flus to go because he is really good with this defense, to go all the way back to that. But like, man, if Waldron is not the answer, that means do fire Flus to get an offensive head coach, basically. I don't want to go down that road. Like, I need Waldron to fix this just because we're obviously not going to fire Waldron and replace with another offensive coordinator or Flus. It's either all of it goes or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to deal with that because I don't think Flus is a great head coach. I think a lot of the issues that he's had for the last 2 years are still issues to some extent.
Game management wise, I feel that. I don't want to talk about the challenges. I don't think they were basically bets
the first
that he
one
was
silly,
making
but he didn't see it. I don't know. Whatever. They're worthy bets to make.
Yeah.
The first one was not a worthy bet to make, but I don't think he knew that. If he would have saw one more replay, he would have known not to. Whatever. But yeah, what he does for this defense, I don't want to lose that. The defense is so good. Like, it's through 2 games wildly beyond my expectations, honestly. And I thought they were good already.
With not as much, to be honest. I know we have good investment in the linebackers and the DBs, right? But not as much on the defensive line. Although Daryl Taylor's playing really well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to see him go either. He's shown a lot of evolution too. Like he's the growth he's had on the defense. I wouldn't want him to go for that reason. I also don't want him to go because I want Caleb to have some
there's that too.
Stability.
Let's say we hire Ben Johnson next year or Bobby Slowick, and we'll be happy about that. But like, I'd be even happier if this would just solve itself enough so that he can have the stability. I don't want year 2. Oh, we see a little hitch in Caleb's dropback, so we're going to spend some time working on the footwork. Like, no, that's the beginning of the end. Like, stop it. No, just keep the same guys who are already teaching them stuff. Let them get comfortable in it.
I do think we're seeing some. I think Caleb's shown some growth in structure. If he can figure out the blitz part of it, if we can get the
For
offensive
sure. I'm
line working
saying
together,
though, it's the beginning of the
like,
end. It's like, we think we've identified a little thing in his footwork here. Like, no, that's what the new coaching staff
oh, I
says.
agree with you.
It's like, I
What
can't
I'm saying
even.
is, I think they're developing him fine versus what some people might argue, like you want that offensive coach to develop him. I think the development wise is fine. The situation may not be, if that
Yeah,
makes
that
sense.
sure. I'm.
So I don't.
Well, I
I
think
think
a part of it is to
it,
make sure the situation around him is not a total disaster, especially with the talent that they have. But yeah, what they're specifically doing for him, yeah, I think it's been a solid progression. Um, I don't know. Do we have anyone to talk about?
no, I think it can get fixed. I just worry with all the issues. It's just a lot of shit to see all at once, dude. Like the sequencing, the time to take to get a call out, the personnel usage. Like, how is that all an issue this early? Anyway, let's move on. Wide receivers.
Okay,
You
so
want
this is the thing.
a specific thing.
I don't want to spend much
I don't
more
have
time
anything to
on
say
this
here.
offense, and we have to talk about Caleb a little bit specifically. So, uh, DJ, he doesn't need to fix the body language, and he said something today.
Yep.
It was a blast, and I didn't read the whole thing, but I think he said that he resaw himself, and he's disappointed with how he looked. He didn't realize he was doing it at the time. Great, love you. You're a great.
He was upset
Good
at the
guy.
fact that they weren't succeeding. He was not upset at Caleb, and he
Well, he should
said
have
that
been. That's probably a lie. He should have been upset at Caleb on the specific play because Caleb gave him a dog shit throw on what should have been a good play. But um, keeping the emotions. Try a little harder. But
yeah,
I love DJ.
he was just laughing at the fact that this is one thing I want to. He's like, cameras are always on me, and I didn't realize that. I didn't realize how many cameras would be on me all the time, and people are overreacting to that. And yeah, I would agree with everything he said.
I'm going to say I think again. I just want to say I do think they missed Keenan Allen a little bit last week, and I don't think he's on washed alert. I honestly don't. I think he looked good in week 1, and I think we missed him in week 2, and I hope he's back week 3.
Really quickly, did you hear what I heard? Did the sideline reporter say plantar fasciitis when they were talking about Keenan Allen? Because I'm pretty sure I heard plantar fasciitis, and if that's the case, this is going to be a very lingering issue. And
Well,
I'm
it's his
worried.
heel.
And that would
It's his
explain.
heel, and that would be So it could be.
That would explain a lot.
I mean, there's a reason he played week 1, didn't play week 2. Obviously, something happened there. So I don't know. I guess if we had to guess, he's probably not going to play next week. But I do think he was missed a little bit. I think DeAndre Carter. Props to DeAndre Carter for filling in, but it just
Like
later in the game, and Collinsworth said this a little bit, and I think Collinsworth being a little, doing the thing where he can't just admit that Caleb is playing poorly at a certain point. But I do think there is something to be said, like when there are no answers, it is kind of nice to have Keenan Allen because Keenan Allen's usually an answer. He's maybe not like an A+ answer. He's not going to get you an A+ in your test by answering Keenan Allen, but like he's going to get you a B- at least, and like that's way better than some of the other shit.
He's usually good at getting open quick in the short game, intermediate game.
Rome's the big one. Rome's the big one. Whatever your panic meter is on Rome, mine's going to be one step higher because we've already talked about this and it keeps happening. He is too often failing to understand where he is on the field. There are a million excuses that can be valid. I did not expect to see this as often as I've seen it so many times already with Rome. That fourth down throw, it doesn't matter if that was an option route. He needs to know not to run into 4 guys.
Really quickly, it's not just that he doesn't know where he is, so he steps out of bounds on a touchdown. What you're saying is he doesn't know where everyone else is around him as well.
Yeah,
and his understanding
the expectations of people who listen to the other episodes.
No, we don't have enough we didn't have enough listeners back then.
Well, we're not getting any new ones. So
we have 2 new subscribers, and we've gotten like 30 new. Oh, I gotta send you the stats, dude.
Fake news. If you're a new subscriber,
I'm hiring
and tell me your address.
Oh no, they're all bots in India that I've hired to help boost our stats. That's it.
Let's go, bots.
Anyway, just to be clear here.
Speaking directly to my bots, if you know my friend ChatGPT, you guys should link up. I can introduce you to. Bots.
Love bots. I don't really care for them, but the
porno bots.
Oh, the porno bots are great. Are you kidding me? My little AI girlfriend? Don't worry, I don't
uh,
need one.
yes,
Um,
people know what I'm talking about. But if they don't, yes, he often just
he'll
if a safety's over here, he should know to run over there. If a guy's over here, he should know to run over there. There's little things you can do on a route to get yourself a little more open than what you are without completely screwing up the route. Also, sometimes in a scramble drill, or always on a scramble drill, your entire job description is find green grass. Find grass, let the guy find you, present an open target. This fourth down
either
play,
horizontally or vertically. Yeah,
I don't know if this was you are running a vertical route no matter what. And maybe that is how he was coached. I don't care. You were about to run into three guys in front of you and there's nobody behind you. You got to turn around. Caleb was expecting you to turn around.
I
So how
highly
didn't
doubt
you
it.
turn around?
I highly doubt that was the case. I'm pretty sure it was a choice route. There's no reason why Caleb would throw that.
But
He threw a perfect ball
there's
for
a,
what would be a
what,
comeback.
yeah, man,
But yeah,
what I'm saying is there's a choice route underlined in the playbook. There's a thing of him going up and some dots going down. And there's a choice route, which is you're running this, but also
Travis Kelce
don't
and Mahomes.
cover yourself completely.
Yeah, Travis Kelce and
Even if it's
Mahomes. Go to
even if it's
space.
within
I'll
structure,
find
you
you.
don't have to run the thing if it doesn't make any damn sense to do it. Because
I
Caleb's not
don't
going to throw it if he's going to run into triple coverage.
I'm going to
Well,
disagree with you there, mostly because I don't think they have enough chemistry for them to just see things the same way and say, let's do that. That's why I really do think it was a choice route. I highly doubt Caleb was saying, oh, I'm seeing it like this. He's probably saying it like this. I don't think there's enough synergy there quite yet for them to
and
be that
I'm
confident.
saying there's certain routes where it's not built in what to do
Yeah.
if this isn't open,
Oh, on
but
the
you
scramble
just trust the
drills.
receiver to do the thing.
Yeah. On the scramble drills, we've also seen him bend a vertical inside when there was inside help, when he should have kept it a little bit outside. Why are you bending inside the numbers and almost close to the hashes? I agree with you. So we've talked about this a few times now. If anybody's new here, you know that we've talked about this a few times. I brought it up to Matt Harmon. So we're both perception subscribers. I on the Discord, he sent out a preview saying Rome looks great. I wouldn't freak out or panic. He's winning on a bunch of his routes just like he was before. And I commented in the preview discussion with your point. Because as I've said, I don't think it's as big of a concern. I think this will come with time. So I did ask him, I was like, are you seeing this as well? And he said, I am a little bit, and I'm also seeing it a little bit with AD Mitchell. And he's like, I do think this is something that will resolve itself with time. He thinks it's both a chemistry issue, and I should pull up the actual chat. Basically, it's going to be it's not something that he's concerned about. I kind of agree with him. And I sent it to you, and I know you're not fully on board. I do think a lot of this is going to be, hey, he needs to understand how to see coverages as they're unfolding in front of him. And from that understanding of coverages unfolding in front of him, he can then understand where the space would be in that coverage contour, right? So if it's a choice route, he knows what to do on the choice. If it's, hey, I need to find the holes in zone, he knows, oh, this is where these guys are going to be. This is where the help's going to be. I need to understand these rules. The coverage rules do help a bit. Obviously, you'll never know every defense specific rules, but you can understand them generically. So
Yeah, that's the thing is,
that's
a choice route is definitely a learning curve for sure. You do have to be reading the coverage a little bit, not a little bit, a lot. That is not where the concern is for me. How do I say it? To go back to that particular play, if it was a choice route, I think Rome would have made the right choice. That was not difficult. It's just an innate thing in a receiver that is like, well, I'm not going to fucking keep running through that. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not a clear out route. I'm not of this. I just got to come back and get the ball because this area that I'm being told to run into does not work. And
right.
there are in offenses, you can just stop running the route. You can change it, even if it's not a underlying choice route.
Typically, that's built into the play, though, man. I don't think it's built into. I'm just gonna because let's say Caleb throws it. Let's say Caleb throws a vertical, and he's supposed
honestly
to
run at a much lower level of football. That's not my experience. So I mean, I guess we're just not on the same page here.
Yeah, I don't know if I fully. Kelce and Mahomes have done it, right? It's Bill's playoff game. Literally did it to them. Like, why are you giving us so much space? Look at each other. Yeah, just throw it short. We just need the field goal. Like I'll get 15 yards right here real easy. They're giving it to me, right? They seem to do it all the time. I think something like that, what you're asking for, requires you to have gained chemistry with your quarterback to know that he's not going to throw the route that he's expecting,
I think
right?
that's
And
true. I think that's definitely true. I think it also requires you to be instinctive on the level that I hope that Rome is, and I am simply going to say that I am more concerned that that is an issue than you are.
yep, I don't think you think it's that big of an issue though. So we're
I'm
harping on
not.
something
I'm
that
not. I'm not. I'm not. Yeah. Like I said, do your panic meter, and mine's going to be probably one higher, but it's definitely going to be one higher because I think it's more of an issue, a potential issue than you do think it is.
I
Some
think it's
guys
a
are just
2.
kind of dumb and don't know what to do.
My
Sure,
panic
three.
meter's at a 2. Yeah,
Actually, no,
like
it's a four because I also don't like this knee injury, but it's like a three and a
it,
half.
yeah, he's playing through it. I kind of wish he wasn't. Let him recover, but I
Yeah.
get it. One last thing. I want Tyler Scott to get a couple reps. If he looked good in preseason or in practice,
Yeah.
dude's fast. Give him a chance. We need explosives. Like he doesn't
It'd
need
be
to be in
nice.
more than like 10 snaps. Give him some snaps. Give
It'd be
the
nice.
defense a vertical threat.
Carter's doing a good job. So like I'm harping on it, I guess a little less than I was after week
Yes.
one. But I guess I'm just disappointed that the coaches don't think Tyler Scott deserves to be on the field. I expected him to be pretty clear forward, and he's I mean
The
he was
coaches
playing behind
also
Colin
expect
Johnson.
the coaches also think that Swift should be. So I'm not taking that with any.
I mean I'm not so much disappointed in him. I'm just disappointed in the situation. I certainly had hoped that he'd be on the field a little more often than he is. But
Uh,
we don't have a ton of time. The Caleb stuff's all pretty obvious, but I think we're definitely on the same page that it was good to see that first drive showed that he could play within structure. All of the YOLO balls that he threw, I do think were, um, a mix of desperation.
frustration.
Honestly, the first one that was negated by penalty, I think it was a Dunze against Lassiter. I kind of see what Caleb was going for there, and it wasn't like the worst idea in the world. It was
Lassiter
it
made a
was
great play.
a crazy across the field, thing, but that was one on one. Like it was a bad throw, but like the idea was, oh, I see these two all alone. I'll just give Rome a chance to go up and get a 25-yard gain. It was kind of a bad throw. But like I kind of see what he was doing. Uh,
I'm
I'm
thinking of
forgetting
the
the.
other one. There was a one on the sideline too that Lassiter makes a great play on. The interception.
Yeah, so that one is. So
I see
that
what
one
he's
I
going
think's
for.
that one's got to go away as he gets adjusted to NFL speed, which is weird because I don't think Kwame Lassiter has NFL speed, but Kwame Lassiter had NFL instincts on that play, and that's often more important. Um, yeah, I think that is not a throw he should make ever, really.
I think if he gets that high and close to the sideline, he threw it short. If he gets that higher and closer to the sideline, there's potential there for a big explosive. I think with where I don't remember who was the target on that, where they were. So you have to layer that over Lassiter. You can't give that. There was basically a gift to him with how it was thrown. Oh, not a gift. Lassiter still made a great play, but it was short, which made it easier.
My recollection of the play is that absolutely cannot be thrown. And honestly, the guy that Lester's coming off is wide open. And if Caleb sees the corner and can manipulate the corner, he can then decide which guy to throw it to. Or actually, no, get Lester to commit deep and then dump it to the guy who was wide open short
Yeah,
is the move
that's
there.
I would agree there.
I think this game speed thing, and then the Stingley interception to Moore was not a YOLO ball. It was a good read, exactly what he should have done. Kind of a weird release by Moore. Somebody said it on Twitter that I think was had a good point. I don't know why you're inside releasing there, but Moore got open, but Caleb just threw a bad ball, which I'll get to the two actual concerns that I think we want to point out really quick, both kind of related to these two problems. Concern one is less of a big deal to me, but the deep ball accuracy has just been dog shit. It's not like anything that we've seen from him, and therefore that aspect, I'm going to quickly put a concern meter on it. I wish I could say 1 because I've seen it so many times, but like it is weird that it's happened twice. So it's like a in 2 games, sorry, and he has not actually completed 1 yet. So it's like a 2.5 instead of a 1, like it probably should be.
I have it at a 3 specifically because I think the reason why he's having issues is his feet aren't settled, and with what the IOL is showing and everything else that's compounding onto this, I think that if he had a not a perfect situation, but like an okay situation going on, that would go away pretty quick. With the current situation, if it doesn't get resolved within the next few games, I do worry a bit. But I think eventually it gets fixed as long as we don't damage him, right? Um, so like a 3.
Yeah, man.
He just
I mean, I said this. I think I said this after the failed back shoulder to Moore. I just said, can we just get one of these complete? Like, can't you complete one of these on accident? Like, how have every single one of these not been completed? It's so frustrating. There's been things there, and there's always an excuse, and there's always a valid excuse, I should say, or just like it happens. Like it does happen. But why does it happen on every single one of these? I just want to see it as a Bears fan, as a Caleb fan, as somebody who wants to be like, okay, good. Caleb can still do this. Man, you can't just
want that flash.
just one on accident is an accurate ball. Come on. I know you're accurate.
2 games without a big time throw is a little concerning. I don't think he's pushing the. I go back to your point. They weren't pushing the ball that much in this game.
Yeah.
The Titans game, he missed on a couple. He was just all over the place at the Titans game. His accuracy this game was significantly better in every aspect except for in creation mode and in on the deep routes. Although he almost hit a beautiful ball with Coleman Shelton getting thrown into his lap to DJ Moore, which is just outside of DJ Moore's outstretched hands.
But he didn't, and that's what's frustrating. It's more of an emotional thing, and this is slightly different than I was saying than the deep ball accuracy. It's just how many quarterbacks have gone on to be great, which like we're still hoping for. We're not hoping for better than Fields. We already have better than Fields, I think. Even though Fields is 2-0 and playing fine, but I still say better than Fields. The results not better, but like I think it's very clear that we have a quarterback who knows how to operate things in a way that Fields just cannot. But how many great quarterbacks have gone their first 2 games without one big time throw? I don't know the answer to that. I imagine the answer is not very high. You'd like to just see like the 1 or 2 flat. Like Bo Nix has a big time throw versus 4 turnover worthy plays.
I think though that a lot of that is due to Caleb trying to play very smart, right? And a lot of the big time throws you get from those rookies are YOLO balls that are probably dumb. Right?
I'm with it.
And it's a lucky completion.
The concern meter is what it is. It's not that high, but it is like I would have thought I would have seen a little more flash of something here.
We want a wow. I just want a wow moment just to feel good. Just like that. Oh yeah, he's arrived a little bit.
Yeah. And it could be in structure. I personally, I don't want it to be just like a beautiful 9 ball. Like that's not really what I'm looking for. Just like, man, if that eventual pass, it was a pass interference to Carter, and honestly, it's my favorite throw that he's thrown so far because it showed that he was willing to push the ball over the middle. If that had been completed, that probably would have been a big time throw, and the result was the same. So there's that. But like, I just emotionally speaking, I need to see the ball leave his hand. Ideally, I'd like it to be fucking threaded over the middle, 20 yards, 25, 30 yards down the field into my man's hands. I just need to see it, and I'd like to see it again, and I'd like to see it again for me to be like, okay, he's going to be able to do this consistently. Those first 2 weeks were just nerves and whatever else, pressure, all that stuff. But I got to get out of the place where I'm constantly having to make excuses and being like, well, it's fine, I'll get him next time. Got to get out of that soon, or it's going to start really grating on me.
I would really like him to play a little bit less in structure. That's my personal. I feel like he's playing too in structure, which is
kind of wild. Yeah,
it's absolutely wild. It's like he's forcing himself to.
But like I said, there was a point in the last game where I said, okay, Caleb, we get it. You can play in structure. Yep. Stop doing it so much now.
Yeah, at this point, there is no structure around you to play in. So
yeah.
I don't know. My panic meter is super low. It's like a 1. I think he's shown me enough already It's like, give me till week 8, and in week 8 that will go up significantly if it doesn't get better than this. But
Yeah.
for week 2, with what we've seen, what's around him, how we already know that there's a lot more quick pressures, we're losing a lot more up front, based off of objective statistics, based off of just eye test, because I could tell you the difference between last year when I'm saying throw the damn ball as I'm screaming versus, oh my god, how is somebody getting there so quick? I haven't changed who I am when I watch the game. Like, it's injuries with wide receivers, terrible run game support. I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. He just doesn't have the support that we all thought he did. I want to bring up 2 things really quickly. One is,
I gotta add him really quick.
Yep.
I know you want to bring him up, but just to let you know, I got a hard stop in 20 minutes. Hard stop in 20 minutes.
Yeah, we'll be good. I don't think, like I said, we're going to be doing mostly review than preview.
Well, I want to talk about the Colts.
Yes. This is going to transition us into the Colts.
Good.
If you looked at the outline, you would have seen the NFL Pro stuff that I found. So on NFL Pro, they have some snippets, quick like things that. So in week 2 against Texans, Caleb Williams was blitzed on 41.7% of his dropbacks, 20 times. So also for people who think it was like 36 out of whatever, it was only 20 dropbacks or just multiple pressures on some of them.
Wait, I did want to see this thing. It's actually maybe worse when, so like 36 out of 40, and it's like, damn, about 36 of his dropbacks. Like, no, but actually, if you think about it, it's kind of worse because that means that multiple guys were coming at him, pressuring him on one play, and that's
what was it that you asked
no
me?
Chance. Would you rather? Well, I don't. I should have come up with a better one because this didn't really work that well. Because I think the answer still probably is the. Anyway,
switch the bird up. It doesn't have to be a bird.
No, it doesn't have to be a bear. You do something. The point was, would you rather fight one bear or 100 birds?
I would rather fight a bear because 100. So, like, let's say these are very ferocious birds.
I'm not sure that's my actual answer, but the point remains. Like, he's got nowhere to go. At least there's only one guy to escape with the bear.
You ever played Legend of Zelda when the chickens attack you?
No.
If you throw people understand that reference. If anybody understands the reference, thank you. It's essentially the same thing. You have no room to escape when you got 100 birds attacking you all at once. You're just getting pecked out like crazy. With a bear, hey man, I might be able to get away. Or I might, different things of evading. I'm not actually going to fight the damn bear.
Yes.
That's the thing that you're getting at. Can you evade multiple pressures versus a single pressure? Way harder to evade a free rusher and then another guy coming off a block.
Right? Yeah. If you would have told Caleb, yeah, I would have preferred to have been pressured by one guy on 36 of my 44 dropbacks or whatever. That would have been awesome.
So on that note, going on with the Colts. So this was something that D'Amico Ryans didn't do much, but the Colts have struggled to generate pressure when not blitzing. Their 27% pressure rate with 4 fewer pass rushers ranks 20th, and they're likely without DeForest Buckner. That's one of the things. However,
definitely DeForest Buckner.
Yes, he is on IR officially, but this I think came out before that. The Colts have the 4th highest blitz rate in the league at 33.9%. Now, D'Amico Ryans jacked his up right in the last game. What do you think the Colts are going to do? And they're already a team that likes to blitz, and they're blitz heavy.
Okay, well, small sample size because last year they were not. Let me look this up real quick. If it's not already on my phone, why would I close the tab? I think they were near the bottom.
Up, make your point.
They were absolutely near the bottom in blitz rate last year. Gus Bradley is about the most vanilla coach there is. I don't know what kind of blitz package they're putting together. It's too early. I kind of did want to watch some Colts before we did this. We didn't have, didn't work out. But Gus Bradley is the ultimate vanilla cover 3 at the highest rate in the NFL. Not blitzing very often until this 2-game sample size, apparently.
You're right. 17.4% last year. They were ranked
and even if
31st.
Even if he does what I assume any coach in their right mind would do is take a note from D'Amico Ryans and try to do all this stuff, I don't think Gus Bradley's good enough or smart enough to do it as well as D'Amico Ryans. I think Gus Bradley is absolute dog shit.
So that I would agree with you, and I do think D'Amico added a lot of wrinkles in how the blitzes were coming. I also believe that they're blitzing more so out of necessity due to an inability to create pressure.
Yes, lack of
However,
personnel, and now even bigger lack of personnel without Buckner.
just after watching the last game and seeing how easy the Texans made it look, there's some concern. I hope that it really is D'Amico Ryans being incredibly brilliant on how he was doing it. And that it isn't just, if you do this exact same thing, and I don't really know how to do this, but if I watch the film and try and coach it badly and try to do it and mimic it, I can still get it done. Right? I'm really hoping it's not that. Because there are a lot of times where you try to copycat and you just don't know how to coach it.
There's concern, but I'm going to say this. There would be more concern for 31 other teams in the NFL. I am truly not worried about Gus Bradley. With the personnel that he has, I am not worried about them. If this is a part of the thing, like if things don't look good against the Colts, if we don't get at least, some of the stunt stuff picked up, some of the the big time throws are just hitting the wide open throws, that's when I start to panic, because this is I will say this is the worst defense in the NFL.
I don't know if
16
I'd
points to
agree.
Malik Willis. 16 points to Malik Willis is like giving up 800 points to Patrick Mahomes. It is really bad.
The Giants
And
the commies are really bad too. I agree, they're going to be bottom of the league. I don't know if they're the worst.
This is just an ultimate. I want the players to play fast, so I'm not calling anything complex. I'm calling cover 3 on, I think, literally 55% of snaps. But the players are so bad that it doesn't matter. Even Juju Brents, and I think they had another cover corner that's out. Those guys are out. Like there's nothing here. There's no personnel that should be playing Gus Bradley style, which is, again, just play fast and free, and we're gonna let the talent do what it does. There is no talent. There's nothing here. I think it's the worst defense in the league,
especially without Buckner. I want to clarify just something real quick. So when they're pass rushing 4 or fewer, they only generate 27%, which is 20th in the league. Great. I do think they're going to be blitzing much more. With their blitz rate at 33.9, 42.1% of those blitzes generate pressure. So at 33.9% blitz rate, 42% of that is pressure. We're talking what, like 15% pressure rate off of. In totality, it adds 15% to their pressure rate.
But also, dudes can get open, and as long as the offensive line has learned a single thing, and like I said, I think that they had to spend all week, and there's more week to come. It's only Wednesday right now, figuring out a single damn thing about picking up a blitz.
So my thought is, on the offensive side of this, I think you need to start keeping a running back in. If that's Homer that needs to play on and he's just not a passing threat, I don't care. We've got other weapons that can get out there, specifically to watch the inside, and you tell the tackles just to take care of the outside, because they can do that perfectly fine. You tell Homer, hey, if somebody comes on the inside, all you got to do is redirect him, give Caleb a little bit of space on whatever the other side of him is, right? So if like Homer's on the right side, try to ride the guy. If the guy's cutting left, try to ride the guy that way. Just give him a second. He just needs a second, right? Don't let him come free.
I think I think there are going to be answers. They might not be the best answers. I think there's going to be answers, and I think stuff's going to be wide open. That's what I think.
The miscommunication does worry me because of how absolutely ass it was, but there is a chance that they're just not as good at running those games, that just because our interior offensive line isn't at the same level, just because they're not seeing it, they might still be able to pick it up just, a little late, potentially. We'll see.
Yeah. I'd love to break it down, but we're against the clock. So do we want to talk Colts offense? Here's the thing. I don't think there's a lot to be said until the Bears finally have a bad defensive game. Like, seems like
real quick, just back on the defensive side, this should be the get right game. I'm with you. I hope it is. I'm more so concerned it's going to take a couple weeks to fix the kinks, and that it won't be.
It could. I'm saying this is I'm saying this is the opponent that I'd like to be playing if I needed a get right game. And if internal factors are the reason it's not, fine, but it's not going to be external factors, I don't think.
Let's quickly
It's not going to be the opponent.
We'll transition now quickly to the offense. I want to quickly talk about AR. Anthony Richardson's been incredibly scattershot, and also he shows the fact that he's only had 400 dropbacks from his college career through his NFL career. Like, he does not have a lot of reps. I think I'm still optimistic about his future. He's just incredibly raw. I can't believe there's such a raw prospect, like a raw player in the NFL playing quarterback, to be honest with you.
And being relatively successful for
Considering
the fact that he's just a big old mold of clay. But
he has less
I'd rather be playing him right now than when we have to play him again in 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, now's the time to get AR.
Yeah, he has less dropbacks than a player typically would get in 1 year of college. Like, it's wild how less dropbacks through his college career till now than a player typically gets in 1 year of college. It's wild.
Yeah.
So we which makes it nice.
I did the Madden comparison where it was he has everything except accuracy.
Yeah.
I
think that's a consistency issue with understanding where he needs to go and making sure his mechanics match the fact that his eyes and everything are moving so quickly, and his brain is
for an opportunistic defense, he's gonna throw you some, and we're opportunistic, so that'd be great. Now, his running and the way that he could open up running lanes for Jonathan Taylor, that's the bigger concern for me. I'm not super concerned. Maybe they'll hit a big play because AR is just a freak that's gonna get it literally over the top of a 3D look. But the running is what I think could possibly give some consistent issues. We haven't had the wrinkle of the super athletic running quarterback. We've gotten
Levis did it a bit, and that's going to transition me into my prop bet that my parlay.
Good.
I put in a parlay for this game, and this is the one SGP player prop run that I have so far. Anthony Richardson over half an interception, so he's betting that he's going to throw another pick 3 games in a row because our DBs are good enough that when he makes a mistake, I think they'll get it. And he'll make probably a couple. Over 40.5 rushing yards and under 185.5 passing yards. I'm taking the under on his passing, over on his rushing, and over on int.
What's rushing? 40?
Yep.
Now I'll say this: he better hope to get a lot of that in the first half, because I feel like Foose, his MO so far is adjusting the second half. So
potentially,
I think I'm with you. I like that. That. Also, if he throws for 190 yards, it's going to be like most of that's going to come on 3 of his passes.
The freaking 65-yard bomb that he had, wild.
They have a good offensive line. They're going to be able to protect him pretty well, I think. And
how's Jonathan Taylor look this year? Just
I don't know. No idea. Not gonna lie, don't know. I know that he's a good running back. I like him. If they do some read option stuff, I'd be interested in seeing how the Bears respond to that. There's gonna be some looks out of them. Steichens's a smart guy. He knows how to attack a defense. There's gonna be looks out of them that we're going to have to see how the Bears react to. Misdirection stuff. I don't think it's lost on Steichen that the misdirection stuff the Titans did was really effective.
his ROI, his rushing yards over expected, and his yards per carry is at 5.4, 1.5 over plus 1.5 yards rushing yards over expected.
So he's good. Yeah. Yeah, I guess to come down to it, it does scare me all the speed that they have, but they don't really have man beaters at receiver. So I
think AD can be
worried. He can be, but he's also to trust him to be in the right spot at the right time is still. I just think it's a little early in his career, but I think you pop a big player too. Sure.
Also, Michael Pittman Jr. is good. I don't know, man beater.
Yeah, I don't really consider him a man beater. I think Pearson, Edney.
Pearson's been big in the last couple games too, I believe. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, they can beat him vertically. I'm just saying, I'm not super concerned about guys just running wide open over the middle of the field, like occasionally happen against the Texans. They don't have those type of guys.
I will say they do have an OC that I absolutely love. So last point I want to touch on with their offense specifically is Shane Steichen. Great hire. I do love the pairing with him and Richardson. If anybody's going to actually be able to get anything out of him, it's Shane Steichen. We're talking a guy who understands how to marry the run game with his pass game, specifically understands how to develop a quarterback run game that is more than just read option, right? Pairs really well with what Richardson does, understands how to get the vertical attack passing game going.
Yeah, they're going to run right at Darrell Taylor a few times, I would imagine. And I expect the Colts to put up probably some more points than people have watched the first 2 weeks expect, just because I think Steichen's gonna get a lot out of what he has. I mean, they hung 27 on the Texans, and we didn't even come close to doing that. So,
to remember your Fields point about the running aspect, slowing down the pass rush a bit.
yeah,
I have a couple notes in the outline about what we could do on defense to potentially help, and part of it is quarterback contain. I don't think this is going to be a big pressure day. You're going to hope Richardson just makes a mistake in the pocket.
This is opposite of what the point I was Stroud last week. Let him pick you apart. Just make sure to keep the safeties over the top.
Yes, limit the explosives. Keep him in the pocket. Contain him. Let him play. Let him beat you from the pocket. I do think eventually he'll be able to. He doesn't have the same, like, really quickly, to be clear, he does not have the same issues as Fields. I'm not even going to compare him there. He's just going to make mistakes. Actually, he makes the opposite mistakes of Fields. He'll throw things that are easy to intercept. Doesn't throw the most beautiful ball all the time, and also makes dumb mistakes at times. Not Will Levis dumb, but like doesn't see the coverage perfectly. Will throw to double coverage, etc. Things Fields didn't actually do.
Or just throws it absolutely nowhere near anybody.
However, I do want to play him the same way, just specifically because of where he's at in his progression and what he is as a weapon and an athlete.
Yeah. Anyway, we got to go. Prediction really quick.
I have this as 17-10 Bears.
Really?
I don't think they're going to do. Have you seen the scores in the NFL this year? Have you seen the Bears scores of the this year?
I'm gonna go 23-17, which I think was yours for the last game. 23-17 Bears. I feel good about it, and I feel like there's upside for even more than 23. But you're right, the scores have been low. 23-17, I'm gonna go with.
I have a feeling there'll be a defensive touchdown.
Oh yeah, hopefully by us.
I have a feeling it'll be us, but we'll see. Awesome. I'm Adam. That's Kev, and this has been Virginia's DMs.
Bye.